Start recording. Start streaming. Yeah, we're live. And we're just going to try to do this other Facebooky doodly dad, because why the fuck not? My system can clearly not handle it, but fuck it.
You probably should go into the Fried Brain page and stream from there.
Yeah, that might be wise. I can't remember how to get to Fried Brain page. I'm a professional, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Fried Brain Productions. There we go. See, I'm doing things. Okay, your page is now complete. Wow, that goes to show how good I am at life. Thank you very much for that.
Just enjoy the sultry sounds.
Yeah.
I thought this was a lot easier.
Yeah, so did I. You know what? We're not going to do this right now on Facebook.
I just thought you clicked a button. On a phone, maybe.
Maybe.
Anyway.
You'd think that it would be just, do that. But anyway, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Armchair Producers, episode 33. I am one of your hosts, George Tarrant, alongside the man, the myth, the legend,
The clean-shaven.
the clean-shaven for the second week in a row, Mr. Travis Croft. How are you, sir?
I'm fine and dandy. I am getting used to the bald face.
Is it like feeling the fresh breeze on those?
First couple of days, and it's getting a bit cooler in the mornings now, so you're a bit like, this probably wasn't very good timing.
Cool.
I didn't think this through very well. Obviously, a little bit like us streaming on Facebook.
Yeah. We're doing well, man.
Technology, we fail at it.
Publish this as a continuous. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Schedule. Anyway, okay, that'll do. Schedule. I want to go live. Okay. You're okay. I don't know what's happening with that. Fuck it. We may very well be live on Twitch, and if you're there, hello, welcome, hi. This is obviously a wonderful train wreck of disaster already, and we are a few minutes in. Woohoo! So I figured that this episode, we kind of are,
Sort of, maybe.
we may be in black and white, so we are classy motherfuckers. So this week we are going to talk a little bit, as usual, about what we've been watching, playing, listening to, all that sort of stuff, as well as I posited to you it's inevitably going to happen that eventually Hollywood is going to remake everything that we know and love from our childhood.
I'll be eating a double cheese.
And we've got adverts.
I hope we're getting some money for the adverts.
Yeah, sure. But no, we're might as well going to be redoing all these classic movies from our past. So I figured pick one or two that you would actually be okay to see, who you'd like to cast in it, and if any variations and differences, what would they be? So let's kick off the show as always with, what have you been watching, Travis?
I finished Love, Death and Robots.
Yes. And your thoughts?
I loved it. I enjoyed it, though I found it fascinating. I found someone on Twitter yesterday complaining that it was misogynistic and all the bad things that men do with women in film and fiction and stuff. So,
fair criticism, but I think that was also kind of the point.
My problem with people who think like that is that nobody else thinks like that. So there's a tiny little 0.5% of a population of social justice warriors and, people that get uppity about that sort of thing, who will sit and watch something. I watched 3 episodes and it was completely misogynistic. I'm sorry, you can't. If you thought, your first thought after watching 3 episodes of that was, this is too misogynistic for me to continue watching. Yeah. First of all, the second episode is 3 robots.
Yeah.
And there's nothing misogynistic about that episode. Yeah. But, God, it must be hard to find something to enjoy.
Yeah.
It really must be hard work. Cause
they get their enjoyment from deriding other things.
Well, they're getting enjoyment from being outraged. I mean, now I'm sounding like fucking Joe Rogan. But, you know, like the outrage culture, the snowflake culture. I mean, I posted an article on my Facebook this week about, so I'm off topic already, about the Matrix being a male power fantasy. And
I didn't bother reading that because I felt like it would probably just annoy me.
You should read it because I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. But I felt like it was a massive misinterpretation from the journalist. It was an interesting perspective, I guess, if you like that sort of thing. But I mean, that was my interesting. But Love, Death and Robots for me, like some of the Russian episode, the one in Siberia.
I rather like that.
And I'm like, I was thinking this would make a fucking amazing video game.
Yeah.
And as with most of them, you go, this would make a great movie. This would make a great movie. So yeah, that's high quality stuff. I really enjoyed that.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of, I wonder how good some of these would translate if they were full feature lengths.
True, I mean,
some of them might not be able to maintain that.
It would take some skill.
Yeah.
Maybe it would make some of them would translate, some of them wouldn't. I mean, I don't know how you make a 90-minute film without conscious yogurt, but it'd be fun to see them try.
It would be really fun. Who would you want to direct that?
John Lasseter.
He
needs the work right now.
He does need the work, but people aren't willing to work with him, apparently. I mean, Helen Mirren.
Again, with the people who are just horrible human beings.
I hadn't really heard anything about this at all. We may not be live anywhere anymore. Just
not according to Twitch on my phone. It's just...
Okay, you know what? Let's just close that down and see if that works. But anyway, you might still be getting our audio. Who knows? We are still recording, so at least you'll be able to catch this at all of our usual places. We are also on Spotify podcasts as well as SoundCloud. So hooray for backups.
So that's everyone I talk to who watch it also is like this is great. So that's good for me. And poor for the people out there who are busy getting offended by things and going, oh, it's not this women's rules. So I also, I don't know how long story. People at work were a little bored the other day, and they were talking about Norwegian black metal. Do not ask me how they got onto the topic. I don't know.
Well, how don't you get onto that topic?
And they were like, and so I sent them a link to something called the mapofmetal.com.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we have viewed that in the past.
And if you haven't looked at the website, it's brilliant. Even if you don't like heavy metal, it's a wonderfully put together website that actually like maps literally all the different genres and subgenres of metal and how they link to each other and stuff. It's really great. Yeah. And even if you don't like metal, you should check it out because it's a great way to discover metal you might like because it's not just one thing; it's a lot of different things. So anyway, that got me thinking about one of my favorite documentaries of all time is Metal Metal Headbanger's Journey.
Oh yeah.
And then it was Global Metal, and then there was Metal Evolution, which was a TV show from TV, I think. And they were all by the same person, who was a guy named Sam Dunn, who's a Canadian sociologist, filmmaker. And every now and again you go, like he's the kind of guy who could have made half a dozen new things by now, and I just wouldn't have heard about it because it's not the kind of thing that gets advertised anywhere. Yeah. So I just quickly jumped in and had a look at what he'd been up to. And one of his more recent projects was a TV show called Hip Hop Evolution. Okay. Which is on Netflix. Huh. I don't know if it's a Netflix exclusive or it's just on there, but... so essentially, for what he did with Metal Evolution, I don't think he wrote this one, and he doesn't star in it the way he did in Metal Evolution, because he's a heavy metal fan, but I don't know that he's quite the fan of hip hop as well. But he basically does the same thing he did in Metal Evolution, was tracking it for almost a sociological exploration of how hip hop came to be and following its journey from its humble beginnings in parties in I think it was Bronx in Queens, New York, through to being, as it is today, it is the dominant cultural phenomenon almost of the West. It's the cultural musical the musical
Certain
dominant musical
zeitgeist.
sort of genre
Yeah.
of the day. So I mean, if you listen to popular music, hip hop's everywhere. It doesn't do a lot for me, but then again, I'm probably half a generation too old for it, I think. But I've actually 2 episodes into this now, and this is really well done.
Okay.
I wonder if it's going to hold my interest the
Yeah.
further away from the origins we get. Like if we get into the stuff that I already know and like am completely disinterested in.
Yeah.
So as we get into the modern hip hop stuff, which is rather dull to me, but like seeing where it all came from, because I guess being an Xer, I can actually remember some of his stuff. So I can remember when Run DMC were so huge and they were like dominant, everybody, well, at least not so much in Australia, but on TV and stuff, tried to look like them and that sort of thing. Also, earlier in the year, regular listeners might remember I talked about the Beastie Boys book.
That's right. Yeah.
And
You really like that.
I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah.
And this is almost at least the first couple episodes are almost a companion to that book in a lot of ways, because a lot of the early part of their book was talking about, a lot of their book was talking about their influences in becoming a hip hop band and starting out. And a lot of that stuff is actually covered off in the first couple episodes of this. So the Beasties aren't covered quite so much. But so a lot of the time in the Beastie Boys book, they would actually say in the audiobook, they go, pause the book, get on YouTube, look this up.
Yeah,
and you'd be
that's
like,
right,
I'm on the train, I don't want to use my mobile data to look at that thing. I almost needed to make a list to like start looking things up. But Hip Hop Evolution sort of covers those bases quite nicely.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating to see how it came to be and how the humble origins, and it almost happened by accident that this thing was just sort of sitting there bubbling away for 7-8 years before it really became popular. And then they go through the novelty period of rap and stuff like that. I didn't know Rodney Dangerfield released a rap song.
Really?
Rapping Rodney.
Okay.
So that's one to look out for, kids.
If he can do it, anyone can.
Well, I don't think it's one to be remembered. So that's been me this week. That's been me on. I've been really enjoying that this week on. If you like, I mean, it's exactly the kind of show it's for me, right? It's almost sociological. It's historical, and it's and it's about popular culture and popular music. So if you like that kind of thing, if you saw any of Headbangers Journey or Metal Evolution and stuff like that, and even if you don't really like hip hop that much, I guess it doesn't really matter quite so much to me. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, and I'm really enjoying it.
Okay. Well, that's good.
And it's on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, it's included in your subscription.
Awesome. I delved into the Netflix exclusive biopic environment as well with the freshly released The Dirt, which is a comedy take on the life and crimes of Motley Crue. And it's been in sort of development hell for a long time. It was at MTV for quite a long time. It got kind of canned because MTV kind of went in the way of the toilet, according to Nikki Sixx and members of the band. And eventually it got kind of picked up and turned into this feature-length story with a couple of big names, well, not big names, but known names, like Machine Gun Kelly.
And I don't know why I know that name, but I do know it.
Yeah, it's the kind of name that you don't really...
I think he's a rapper.
Yeah. He got the nickname Machine Gun because of his quick-fire style.
He does look a little bit like Tommy Lee.
Yeah. I think they overall did quite a good job at portraying them. It certainly didn't go to parody, but at the same time, it wasn't on the same level as fucking Rami Malek and Freddie Mercury. But that being said, it was very generic in so many ways. It told the full life history of the Motley Crue in a short period of time. And I don't necessarily know if it would actually work in any other way, because you don't really want to spend a lot of time with these guys because they're generally assholes and idiots.
But they could be fun assholes.
they could be fun assholes.
But this is directed by Jeff Tremaine.
Mm-hmm.
Best known for directing the Jackass movies, so he's well used to hanging around assholes.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because the style of it is very indicative of the Jackass movies, where it's almost like here's a moment, here's a moment, here's a moment, here's a moment, and there's sort of beats in it that
The picture's moving.
We're like 5 minutes behind on the video, so we might have problems, but hey, we're technically back on, so who knows? We'll see. It's gonna be it's really weird kind of seeing it because they do have these more serious moments, but they are very underplayed, and it's just odd, you know?
It's disappointing because the book's great.
Yeah, and it's based off of the book, and you can kind of tell it. In many ways, it kind of feels like what they did with the first two Harry Potter movies. They had this source material, and then they kind of flick booked through to sort of like, remember that bit, remember that bit, remember that bit, flick through that, remember that bit. That'll look good on screen. It'll be cool. And to their credit, the end credits are kind of side-by-side comparisons of what they filmed and what was filmed of reality, the real Motley Crue. And they do a good job of kind of having this sense of they actually captured the moment and things like that, but it only really ever feels like a series of moments. It's not a cohesive story. And part of that might be the fact that it is a group called the Motley Crue, who are famous for hedonism, and it's always going to cause kind of inconsistent storytelling because of that. So I don't know if that's an inherent problem for it, but it just seems very meh.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
As it's on Netflix, it's worth watching.
It's got a very poor rating critically, 37 on Metacritic. It's got a 7.1 on IMDb from the audience. I mean, we're not exactly Queen, right? I mean, if you're talking musicians of levels of influence, you know, I mean, Queen, they're not on anywhere near the same level of influence as someone like Queen or Elton John with the Taron Egerton film coming out, or the Liberace film from a few years ago. Liberace again would be... I mean, as much as I actually used to quite like Motley Crue back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, they've got really catchy songs.
I remember Dr. Feelgood was one of my favourite songs when I was about 11 or 12. But yeah, it's a shame because there was definitely a story there in the book. But obviously they've decided to go cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think if you got yourself I don't know. Remember who wrote the Queen biopic? But I mean, they did have illusions of shooting a little higher than your standard one. I don't think they really pulled it off.
No. Okay.
But I mean, or they didn't have it. It doesn't have a. Interestingly, like Motley Crue probably doesn't have a Freddie Mercury. You're not going to have Vince Neil
well, because none of them are particularly nice. You don't sort of like. There's no real connection to them unless you are very much into the metal scene of the early 90s and kind of the casual nature of heavy drug usage, because that's what they do. That's what they are, and they aren't really well-rounded people beyond that.
In a way, though, I mean, that story's kind of been told.
Yeah.
I mean, like, their story is every band's story. Like, when I read the biography of Duff McKagan, which is, again, if you like a biography or, you know, stories about rock and roll, highly recommend Duff McKagan's book. He was the bass player for Guns N' Roses, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you can turn around and leave right now. But his stories are pretty much the same. I started out, you know, in Seattle, and I was playing guitar with, you know, and I didn't think I'd ever go anywhere. I started out playing in punk bands, and then I moved to LA, and I was poor, and I worked a shitty job, and then I started playing guitar with these guys I met, and before you know it, we were getting drunk all the time, and
it's almost a cliche.
Then we started taking lots of drugs. Things got tense. Then we broke up. And then, you know, I started doing jiu-jitsu, and, you know, and you're like, it really isn't a very original. I mean, it's a great read,
Yeah.
But and he reads the book himself.
Yeah.
I think he does anyway. Could be wrong, but it's worth listening to the audiobook. It's worth reading if you like that. If you prefer the paper, but I don't think it would be a very original film. It's basically Almost Famous.
Yeah.
With a bit more drug use in there, right?
Yeah, and it's... I don't know, it just... Maybe it's kind of oversaturated, too cliched, and it's
a rock and roll story. It's been told a million times.
Especially none more than the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, and he's now a parody of himself as well. So
his story would be a little bit more interesting.
His story would be fascinating.
That would be... Maybe they're waiting for him to pass. I don't know if he can make... Can you make a biopic about someone? Well, John's still alive.
Motley Crue's still alive, miraculously.
Their careers that aren't.
They were going until 2015.
I know, yeah. I actually could have seen them, but I chose to do something else.
You had to paint your nails.
No, I actually regret it. I should. It's another story for another time, but I should have gone on a Motley Crue gig. Would have been a better choice. But yeah, I mean, Ozzy's story. I mean, coming from Scottish in Scotland and then becoming, famous in Black Sabbath, right through to the story of how his guitarist died in the 80s. He crashed a fucking plane because they were drunk and took it for a joyride. You're like, yeah, it's horrible, but that's fucking rock and roll.
Yeah.
But I mean, his story, an Ozzy Osbourne story would be far more interesting than anything.
He has a cameo in this. And I say Ozzy, it's obviously not Ozzy, but the character of Ozzy, and it's just them all at the pool, and Ozzy just is being very Ozzy, and it's that moment of him snorting a line of ants.
Right.
But then it goes further, and it's like Ozzy pisses on the side of the pool, and then laps it up and drinks it. And then Nicky Six kind of goes, all right, watch this. And he pisses, and before he can do it, Ozzy pushes him out of the way and licks up that piss as well. And like, okay, that's not really telling more of the story here. That's just fucking rock and roll.
Sound very Jackass, actually.
Yeah, and it
also, that said though, it does sound better than Ozzy's cameo in Ghostbusters.
See, I blocked it out.
The rock concert. It was at the rock concert. Sharon.
No, I've done it. I've blocked it out. I have succeeded. Aside from that, going back and in preparation for season 3 of Stranger Things, which had a teaser trailer released very recently, gone back and started watching season 1 again. And it's really, really good. I still absolutely love it. But it does kind of lead into the topic of conversation, because what movie would I be okay?
Are we limiting this to movies, or should we say a property?
It could be any property.
Okay.
Any property. I would love... It was a demo idea that I spouted to you, but the Explorers, the Ethan Hawke, Joaquin Phoenix...
was it River?
No, River Phoenix. Yeah. Sorry, not Joaquin. And I can't remember who the third kid was in it.
Captain No, but it wasn't Will Wheaton, was it?
That would be kind of
Shut
awesome.
up, Wesley.
Be quiet, Wesley. But yeah, it's about 3 kids that
build their own spaceship.
Yeah, they built their own spaceship out of just a part of a theme park ride, and one of them is kind of essentially being beamed the dreams on how to make this thing. And it was my first introduction to the idea of no inertia. That is, no inertia in space. And it was a bizarre story, but really fun.
Jason Presson, by the way.
Okay.
Doesn't look like he made any other films, because if his IMDb picture is still him as a child.
Still him as a child. Okay, that's always a good indicator. But it turns out that this information was being transported to the kids' brains by these really weird aliens that just want to reach out and meet people, essentially. And then the kids go home afterwards. And it's just a bizarre little romp, but it could be a really interesting story if told right with modern day, because it's some of the worst puppetry. Oh my god, it's so bad. It's almost on a par with Flash Gordon.
It was directed, of course, by Joe Dante.
Yes.
The great Joe Dante of Gremlins fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the last thing we remember him for. Did he make Beverly Hills Cop?
Joe Dante?
He made Beverly Hills Cop 3, my mistake. It was in Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Which is a bad one. Beverly Hills Cop 3. But yeah, it's fun. I think the concept of it is actually really cool, and you could go...
So, he made the Twilight Zone movie. That was the one I was...
That's right.
The other one he was sort of famous for, when people...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, died.
Yep. Yep. We don't talk about that. Yeah, I think I would, if it was going to be remade, I would want it done as a more serious, scary movie for kids. And the kids that I would have in it probably have any of the cast of Stranger Things. Because Finn Wolfhard has very much proven himself with Stranger Things, and he was very, very good in the It movie, and I would love to see him in more things. You could obviously do an easy change of, instead of having 3 boys, you can have 3 girls if you wanted. It would be just as interesting and intriguing. And I think it would actually kind of be quite cool if it was like an all-female cast, actually, because of if they told the story right, the first contact with aliens is by all women instead of the first step on the moon of an all-men crew and things like that. It would be kind of a nice parallel or something like that for that. But I just like the idea of it being much darker and kind of the outer limits for kids, and creepy without being horrific, and the idea of these kids having this information being fed into them, which is kind of close to what people worry about with Facebook and the internet and stuff as it is. But taking that to the next step, and then kind of overcoming their fears of meeting new people and stuff like that, is you can play with it quite nicely, I think.
I think it leads me on to what my first thought was not this, but having spoken to you about this, I'll come to this as my next thought in a second. But my first thought was, you kind of have pretty much everything from our childhood is being remade now anyway.
Yes.
We've got Labyrinth 2 remake, reboot, prequel, sequel, reimagining, whatever you want to call it, is on and off. Maybe happening on again now.
Yeah, it's in production.
We've got Dark Crystal Netflix series, I think, a TV series.
That's prequel.
Prequel again. So we've had. I mean, I'm thinking in the last 5 years. I think
Labyrinth might not be back on.
It's on and off again. There's always talk about it. It's floating around.
Yeah.
But like when you've got Voltron a few years ago from my childhood.
That Netflix animation show is actually really good.
So I'm told. If you're going back a little bit further than that, they did an Astro Boy movie. So I heard it wasn't good. Freddie Highmore and I think Kirsten Bell.
Maybe it was Nicolas Cage played the Doctor. The voice of the Doctor.
I didn't actually see it because I essentially think they made it for children, which is their first mistake. Because you should have been marketing it at my generation who grew up with it, and maybe the generation before who remembers the black and white cartoon. Correct. But they weren't smart enough to do that. So pretty much everything from our childhood is I mean, Owen, what's his name? Robin is going to be remaking the Fraggle Rock.
Robin
from The Dark Knight Rises. The guy.
Fuck! What the hell? What is his name?
that guy.
Jesus, that guy. Third Rock from the Sun. Fucking 500 Days of Summer. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah. There we go.
So we should remember that. So then we had. So his passion project is a Fraggle Rock remake, which I think is on again, off again, maybe happening, maybe not happening. But my first thought was one that has been spoken about every now and again, but is a big one from my childhood, because an obvious 3-hit, if someone can figure out how to make it work, is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
They've actually cast someone in
I
He-Man.
don't believe that. They've been casting someone for 15 years now.
No, but I don't know how he's He-Man, because he looks like he's about 14, and he looks, just from the picture that I've seen of him, he looks about as muscly as me.
Maybe CGI. So apparently it's in pre-production. Is Noah?
That's the dude. Yeah.
I mean, he does not look like a He-Man.
He doesn't look like a He-Man, but
I mean, Lundgren was probably a good choice back in the 80s. I mean, he had the physique, he had the look, and for years we've heard The Rock. For years they were saying Triple H. I'd heard Chris Hemsworth's name thrown around. Hemsworth looks the part. He's pretty cut. But I mean, obviously he may not want to do that sort of thing anymore because it's kind of not that far from Thor. But
I wonder if he'd want to go into something that they'd very clearly set up as a franchise movie.
Exactly, he might want to get out and do a bit like Hugh Jackman does now, because like Hugh did Wolverine for so many years. Now he just goes off and does whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, would have made a lot of money off the Last Showman, because that's the soundtrack.
Yeah, but he's got a live show that's spinning around everywhere now.
So, so one of our regular listeners, Melissa from WBA, that's what we call Ballarat in the industry.
Anyone who doesn't know where Ballarat is, Google it.
There's one in California. But anyways, but like she made me watch it, and like I watched it, and it's okay. But I mean, he's always been a song and dance guy.
Yeah.
So maybe Hemsworth now he's done before can go off and make comedies. I don't know what he wants to do, but do some passion projects for a change. But He-Man is screaming out for it, right? I mean the '87 movie is awfully cheesy and homoerotic in hindsight.
It was a weird choice to kind of go with the whole concept of that He-Man movie. I thought it was kind of cool having Frank Langella as Skeletor.
He was good.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it aren't terrible. Though it was probably robbed of its budget by having a low budget and being basically produced by Canon Films, who were almost broken and out of business at the time.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cheesy. I mean, I don't exactly know how you make He-Man interesting. Do you play it for laughs? Do you play up the fact he's a incredibly muscular, oiled up man in his underpants carrying a very large sword? Do you play up a homoerotic angle? I don't know.
Because there was a mixed reality comedy series with an animated guy that was very blatantly ripping off He-Man, and it was him trying to re-ingratiate himself with the life of his child, and it was really bizarre.
I remember that was on SBS, I think. It was like Grognar the Destroyer,
something like that.
Yeah. That looked funny.
Yeah, and I watched like 2 episodes, and that's kind of funny. They could do something along that line, and you get someone like an Adam McKay, who's a trusted comedy director. Possibly pull something off if it was done.
I'm thinking like going back a long way now, but Starsky and Hutch, right? The Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller film.
Yeah.
So I mean, remaking a '70s cop show,
it kind of worked.
It was funny. It was a funny movie when you played it up for laughs, like the whole '70s angle. Whereas they remade Chips, I think, a couple of years ago, which was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, and that was awful from what I understood, but
Michael Pena and Dax Shepard.
Maybe you get different levels of talent there.
Yeah.
Michael Pena is kind of good though. I like him.
Yeah, Michael Pena's good.
But Dax Shepard is just awful. But it's I don't know how you do it, but I think that's an obvious one, and I'd be interested to see, because I loved those toys and I loved the cartoon when I was a kid. So I think if you were going to make it, I think you'd be a huge fool to try and remake it for children. You'd want to really, personally, I think you'd want to target X's like my generation who grew up with it.
Well, I mean, the opposite to that is obviously She-Ra, and they brought that back
on Netflix.
Netflix as a animated TV show.
I think if you're going to go,
she worked well.
If you're going to do a cartoon for Netflix, like Voltron or She-Ra,
Yeah.
I think you could perfectly suitable make it again for a younger audience.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you're going to make a big screen production of this, I don't think you could make it, unless you got like that Lego movie level of young and old. I mean, it's very hard to do. But if you could make it,
and Chris Miller could
if you could make it at kids entertaining, but fully jokes that parents are going to get, or the older folks are going to get, or just into the Spider-Verse, which is fucking great at that. My friend took her 5-year-old, blew his mind. It won an Oscar. I think I said it was probably the best film I saw last year.
Yeah.
So if you could get that right, but geez, it's a hard ask, and very few get that right. You're shooting at a very small target.
Yeah.
But I'll pivot off He-Man for a moment and go to the one that the one that popped into my head when you're talking about the Explorers. I think Flight of the Navigator.
That's another good one. I actually kind of think that still stands the test of time, except for Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, her hair. I haven't seen it in probably, 25, 30 years. So I really couldn't say if it still stacks up. But I mean, I recall it being a pretty cheesy story.
It's not cheesy. It's just paper thin. Absolutely paper thin, because there's no real explanation for any of the inciting incident.
A wacky spaceship kidnaps an 8-year-old kid and takes him 8 years into the future. The ship ends up being voiced by Pee Wee Herman, which is interesting. But
this was before his fall from grace.
And I don't remember why he took him to the future, right? I just remember he does.
Yeah.
And then the government catches him and he's kept as a prisoner, and then Sarah Jessica Parker and her pink hair lets him escape.
Yep.
And
Like smuggling him in a food drawer
or something like that,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous for someone who's supposedly under high security. But I probably shouldn't be questioning the plot. But I can't remember. Again, it's been 25 years, but I don't remember exactly what the purpose of kidnapping was. It world peace or something?
There was none. There was nothing world-changing or anything like that, because the navigator the ship, which doesn't seem to have a name of its own because the kid is the navigator, seems to be going around and collecting species, but he didn't intentionally collect.
That's right. He's collecting a zoo. It's got the little furry animal at the end. It's like Men in Black, the PG version.
Yeah, or if they had Benicio del Toro's character from Guardians of the Galaxy.
that would be hilarious, though, wouldn't it, if you did remake it and you were just sort of panning through the animals the navigator's collecting, and in the corner there's an Infinity Gauntlet
or Benicio del Toro. Just randomly.
In carbonite. I don't know. I recall enjoying the film quite a bit when I was a kid. So again, that would probably be one that could stand up to the test of time. The others I was thinking, though, were cartoons that I used to really like as a kid, and maybe they could stand for a Netflix remake of some description. I was thinking there was some of them were really obscure, I think, but what was it? The Battle of the Planets?
Battle of the Planets. That is not obscure. That is fucking awesome. And I don't know if I'd want them to touch it. I would love to see a new version of it, but at the same time, it's like, again.
You get it wrong. I mean,
you get it wrong, that's really wrong.
I mean, this is the target. This is what you're playing, right? You raped my childhood. They all keep saying to everyone who makes anything that's The other one I was thinking of, you might not remember, was called Ulysses 31.
Yeah, I remember Ulysses.
It was a pretty strange cartoon, but
yeah.
I used to really enjoy that one.
Yeah.
And this is why I feel, maybe this is going to make me sound old, but I don't know that kids get this level of challenging material anymore. I mean,
there's a lot of praise for stuff like Steven Universe and that kind of stuff. SpongeBob SquarePants is just weird as well.
They don't make that anymore, do they?
No, that's finished now, and Steven Universe is finished now. But I don't know, because it's not exactly the sort of thing that we're sort of like going, I need some new children's animation.
I guess if you had kids, maybe TV today is every bit as good as it was for us. But I just like stuff like Ulysses 31, Battle of the Planets. There was another one I used to watch a lot called Silverhawks.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if I went back and watched it now, you'd be like, oh, this is pretty lame. But I loved that as a kid. Yeah. And I just and these were bizarre Japanese cartoons that they just sort of redubbed and whacked on American and Australian, I guess, British television. And it was really bizarre stuff. Or like in Australia, we had Monkey Magic. Which you may not have actually got over the UK. And that was a Japanese TV show based on a Chinese myth.
The Legend of Monkey.
And then it was redubbed again into English. That was probably not meant for children. The Goodies.
Yeah.
Again, probably not meant for children.
It's fine. brain. You just don't think too hard or often on any of the stuff that they say or do.
So I've gone off topic here, but those are the 2 or 3 cartoons I was thinking of. These sort of very cool, edgy-ish, at the time, Japanese cartoons that I used to really enjoy as a kid. And I'm like, well, they could certainly stand to be updated, even if they aimed them.
Yeah. See, I would like, if we were going for a cartoon, I would like a remake of Count Duckula.
Duckula.
Because I think that could be the kind of cartoon that plays it really daft and silly, but at the same time has this social commentary about, it's like veganism, vegetarianism, fruitarianism, all of that sort of stuff, and just playing with so much of that adults, especially our generation who grew up with it, are coming back and sort of like, really? Oh, that's really funny.
Why not go full Monty and say Trapdoor?
Oh, but it would have to be stop motion, claymation. You'd have to get Aardman animation on that, because that would be good. Work! Yeah. Don't you open that trapdoor. Any other one I was thinking of is one I might have spoken to you about before, which was the Mysterious Cities of Gold. Yes, you've put this up on
a number of times. I don't know how you do. I've actually watched that on YouTube a few times. I'm like, wow, this really isn't very good. It certainly set my imagination going when I was a kid, and I guess that's
it.
Different.
I mean, even things like Shay was a huge fan of Kimber the White.
Yeah, I used to love Kimber the White Line. That was great.
Going back and watching it now, it ain't great.
No, I mean, I guess that's the idea behind children's television. If it sort of sets your imagination off, and a show like The Mysterious Cities of Gold for me set me and my friends to the section of the library about South American history and European exploration in the.
And the closest that we've got for that now is Carmen Sandiego, which has come back, and it's like,
and you can play it on Google Maps.
Yeah, I saw that.
How cool is that? I was at work when I noticed. I'm like, oh, I'd really rather play Carmen Sandiego.
And there's kind of a real world, where in the world going on right now. Game of Thrones people.
Oh, the contest for the thrones or something,
yeah,
right?
They've hidden 8 thrones all over the world in real places, and only 4 of them have been found so far. So if you're interested, get out there and try and find that most uncomfortable of chairs.
There was a guy who built an art installation in Namibia, I think it was, where it was supposed to last for like 100 years or something like that, where this little art installation, it's in the middle of nowhere, and all it does is play Africa by Toto. And it's, I guess it's solar powered or something, and it's just going to play Africa by Toto for like 100 years or something.
I kind of want a sequel to Wall-E where he's just trundling along and it's like do 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 do, and it's just there.
Or more like post-apocalyptic film, and that's where the aliens land.
It's like that's where the sequel to Mars Attacks comes in, and just the song of Africa means something totally different in the alien language.
Or this is the reverse version of Brain Dead, where instead of cars getting stuck in humans' heads, Africa's getting stuck in the aliens' heads. Brain Dead, wasn't it the bug one? Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yeah.
Geez, that was good.
Yeah, that was so good. I would have to go back and watch that again, I think.
But yeah, you could go on forever. I mean, it was a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember Grange Hill?
Fuck yes, I remember Grange Hill.
Or Press Club.
Oh, Dexter Fletcher.
And, these things would lend themselves well to a possible remake. I mean, stuff like that is pretty niche, though, so it probably wouldn't be big budget shit.
And kind of, for something like the Press Club.
The Press Gang, wasn't it?
Yeah, Press Gang. Would you keep it as a period thing, or would you modernize it?
I think I kind of like it set in the 80s. I mean, that kind of... Yeah.
Although part of me kind of imagines it as just like a kid's version of Peaky Blinders.
I didn't like Peaky Blinders at all.
You didn't like Peaky Blinders?
I watched about 2 episodes, but this is so boring.
It's good.
I know, I went through part of Liverpool when I was there a couple of years ago, and I was filming Peaky Blinders there, and I'm like, and everyone's like, oh, Peaky Blinders. I'm like, oh, this is no. Boring. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. Could not get into it. But, but something like Press Gang would be kind of like, what would they be making a school newspaper for now?
Are school newspapers even still a thing, or is it just a school web page?
Or more like a school fucking Twitter feed, right? Or something like.
Or is it like live screens and?
I don't know. I don't.
It seems to be like an
I don't
American
recall.
thing.
I don't think my school ever had a newspaper like that. At either of the high schools I went
No,
to
mine didn't
had anything
either.
like that. Like there was school newsletters that the actual faculty and school
Yeah.
put out, but nothing put together by.
Student run.
At university, we did.
Yeah.
At university, Australian universities, I know. I can't remember what Latrobe's was, but I know there's a very famous one. Melbourne University, has its own publication and stuff like that. And I remember used to review CDs every so often for.
I guess it would just be sort of like, hey, welcome to this week's Twitch stream. Things like that.
I mean, I also remember when I was at university, there used to be like a one-pager of of a daily newsletter thing. It was called Rat Sheet. And it used to be like little, in the car parks, there'd be little Perspex holders with these, and you could just grab one. But no, back, gosh, it's a lot long ago, but I remember there being like little weird,
Back then.
classified-y kind of things in there, like people selling things, looking for things, personals, that kind of thing.
The new house.
It was like for kids, it was kind of like a printed Craigslist.
His Craigslist.
Or Gumtree. Yeah, I think people still in the States still use Gumtree here or something like that, but gosh, that was a long time ago, but I don't think that exists anymore.
Yeah.
I assume I know friends of mine who were at uni until recently, they were part of like class Facebook groups.
Yeah. It's like, because I mean, like in Spider-Man, there's like those video shows. It's almost like just a news broadcast that's on screen in the school.
Do you remember in 90210, the high school had a radio station?
Yeah. Sad about
Luke Perry.
Yeah, Luke Perry. Yeah, that happened a couple of weeks ago now. That's right.
Yeah. Well, the most interesting thing that came out of that for me was that Gabrielle Catteris, who played the slightly older, less good-looking. I don't remember her character's name, but she's like the fucking president of SAG or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she's like a big deal in like Hollywood, and I'm like, there you go. I just never. I guess you stopped paying attention. What was her character's fucking name? She was Andrea Zucker.
Okay.
Andrea Zucker, is that her name? But she was like, the interesting thing for me was always that she was like the outsider of the gang, right? Because there was of course Dylan, who was Luke Perry, Brenda, Jenny Garth, I didn't get what her name was, Ian Ziering, and Brian Nelson Green.
Yeah.
Those were and then over here on the side was
I also ran
Gabrielle Catteris with Andrea Zuckerman, who was kind of like the older, more responsible one. She was like in her 30s at the time, I think, and she was playing like a teenager.
She just had things just holding.
She was born in 61, and so she was 29 when the show started, and she was playing a teenager. There was a gag in there with The Simpsons, right?
It's like, hey!
That's a flat gag, but it's like you sort of think back, you're getting old now when like the childhood idols were sort of dying.
Yeah, that's just
Teen idols, like Patrick Swayze died a few years ago.
I remember just the other day I was talking with a friend that I knew in school, and I was like, when was the last time we were in school? Holy fuck, 20 years. Oh shit, 20 years. No, that's bad. That suddenly I felt like 3,000 pounds on my back. And
the thing I always think is this year in September, there will be grown adults who can drive a car, buy cigarettes and alcohol, who weren't born when 9/11 happened.
Yeah. That's really weird.
Because it doesn't seem like that long ago.
That's really weird.
Welcome to the Nostalgia Podcast.
Back in them days.
Do you remember? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I remember, yeah. Okay. How you doing on Division 2? Completely
I
changing.
don't think I've picked it up this week.
You just clearly don't like it.
I
Clearly don't like it.
don't dislike. I don't dislike it, but I think I said it last week. I think it's the kind of game I want to play with somebody I know. I've picked it up a few times and jumped into. You can jump in easily into missions with randos. They can put out calls for assistance, and it's pretty easy to accept it, and you'll jump into their game.
Yeah.
But
It's not the same.
I don't really like playing with randos. I could put my headphones on.
Yeah.
And maybe they've got headphones too. But I don't really want to be called a fag for, dying or not doing what they thought I should have done. Because as we've sort of noted, first-person shooters, and this one's not this is more of a cover-based tactical shooter.
Shooters.
But shooters are not really my strong point in gaming, and I'm not very good at this one yet. So yeah, I don't really want to be yelled at by rando kids because
fair.
I'm not doing what they think I should be doing. So I don't really want to stick my headphones on. In fact, I would probably mute them if they were talking. But so I kind of haven't felt a really strong desire to pick it up and play it again because it's I think it needs somebody else I know to be actually playing. I mean, I'm sure I'll pick it up again.
I will be playing eventually. I can feel the elbow in the ribs.
No, I mean, I had other people who were playing it last time as well. I kept talking to other friends last week about it, and they're like, no, it looks like they're bullet sponge enemies. I'm like, so
Yeah.
to make it any less fun.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like I'm getting a little better at Apex Legends.
Yeah.
A little better,
Okay.
2% better.
Okay.
So I feel part of the struggle there is to know the game, to know the areas and the maps, and so in a game like that, I don't know how it compares to PUBG and whatever Fortnite is. It the spawn areas for equipment are always the same.
Oh, okay.
In Apex Legends, the equipment's not the same.
Right.
But where it spawns is.
Okay.
So the better one of the ways you can make yourself a little better, or less crap, is to know the map a little better and know your areas. So if you're going to land somewhere, try and land somewhere reasonably well, or try landing in the same spot a lot of times, so that you know where the stuff is. So you don't go running around like a chook with your head cut off to places where you're not going to pick up equipment.
Yeah.
Because really, that's the fun of the first 2 minutes of the game is desperately scrabbling around for a weapon and some armor.
Yeah.
Because if you have neither of those things, you're not going to survive very long. The weapon being the most important thing. Every now and again, you bump into someone who's got no gun and they just try and punch you.
Happy me.
But if you practice a little bit and go, I know where all the stuff is, you can hopefully position yourself in a spot where you get a reasonably clean run for 30 seconds a minute through an area and pick some stuff up. And that means you're dying less often in the first 2 minutes of the game, hopefully, because you still quite regularly will die, but you die less often because hopefully you've got a weapon and you can fight back.
Yeah.
So that helps. I mean, knowing the weapons a little bit helps what you are good at and what you're not good at. And so, I pick up my bullet hose weapons because I can't aim for shit. So having something that shoots a lot of bullets very fast is helpful in that, as opposed to a shotgun, which I keep trying to get better at. But I'm just not very good with them. So, you will inevitably, your play style will lend it towards one weapon or another. So sometimes you have no choice. But so these sort of things, tactics and stuff like that, a little bit, being less. One of the mechanics of the game is you get knocked. Your teammates, anyone can get knocked down. So you don't die immediately. You'll essentially get a minute or so. I should probably know how long to bleed out.
Oh, okay.
At that point in time, one of your teammates can come and pick you up.
Oh, that's right, and then you can take you back to the
if you do bleed out or die, they can pick up your banner and have you respawn by taking you to a respawn point. Right. But they can just pick you up if you're still bleeding out.
Okay.
You don't need to be respawned.
Okay.
But if one of your opponents locks down one of your teammates, it's a very easy common tactic to know that if you see one of your teammates is down, you're going to run over and try and pick him up. Because even if it's randos, you're going to survive longer with teammates.
Cool.
So you're going to try and pick them up. So what do? They're going to knock one of your teammates down and they're going to stand around waiting for you to run over and try and pick him up. So, that's a natural response. And so I try to catch myself now when I see that happening and go, well, I'm not just going to run straight to him. But I'm going to try and... I need to head in that direction because I want to pick him up.
Yeah.
And I know someone's probably going to be waiting for me. So try and make a beeline, try and flank around a little bit or find some cover and see what's going on. See if I can spot the person who's waiting for me and get the first shot on them. So I do not want to make it sound like I am actually good at this game. By any stretch of the imagination, I'm still...
You're just at the point where you know the prey that you are fighting, and you're the guy from Jurassic Park. Clever girl.
Pretty much. I know I'm going to die anyway and get beat a lot. But I can I can start to compete a little bit by not being completely clueless about what's going on.
Yeah.
So, I just quite enjoy queuing and playing that for a few hours. It's just,
Good.
it's just it's a little bit like sometimes Nintendo games, and you sort of say it's less brain consuming in the sense I don't need to think very hard about it, right? Like, I mean, yes, obviously I just spoke about some of the things you do need to think about, but you need to work at the Division 2.
Yeah.
Like I said last week, AI is good. You cannot just stand under one piece of code, pop up, shoot, you will get beat.
Yeah.
So it takes some effort at the Division 2. So I get home from work, I'm tired, I just want to jump into something and...
It's like mindless blockbuster.
Something a little bit mindless but fun.
Yeah.
And that, if you get a couple of decent teammates, it's quite easy. I quite regularly find myself finishing in the top 5. I've won a couple of games, like I said, carry.
I can completely change that for you if I was to start playing.
Hey,
It would be in the bottom group every time.
The most fun I've had in this game is playing, like I think I told you before, mutual friends of ours play it, and I spent probably 6 or 7 hours a couple of weeks ago playing it with them.
Yeah.
Until about 2 in the morning, until we all should have won, but we fucked up and died and came second, and then someone got grumpy, and when we were fuck it, we're logging off. So even if you're not very good, it's still fun to play with people because you can just have a little bit of fun, fuck around. So like something stupid, like there are some guns in the game that are no good. People who were playing it, the P2020, the Mozambique. So you might have been playing for 10 minutes, and everyone's got really good gear. And one of the great aspects of the game is the ping system.
Yes.
You see something someone might want, you can ping it and say, hey, this is here if anybody wants it, so to speak. So what we'll do is, like, everyone's got really shit hot guns and good armor. I'll come across a Mozambique, I'll just ping it and go, Mozambique here. and you just keep doing it through the game. Just keep shit like that. Like, why would anybody, you've got the worst gun in the game, why would anybody want it?
Because this is different to the other kind of PUBG and Fortnite. This has got the different kind of... specialities for players. Can they only use specific weapons?
No, anyone can use any weapon. The team-based, the hero-based shooter aspect of it is each hero has a passive ability and a couple of different active abilities. An active ability and I guess what you call an ultimate, like in Overwatch.
Yeah. Okay.
Which builds up over time.
Yeah.
So, for example, a character I play quite regularly is Lifeline. Her passive ability is that she can use healing items faster than the other characters, and that when she picks someone up who's been knocked down, a shield appears around you while you're picking them up, which is really handy.
Yeah.
Her active ability is she can deploy a healing drone, which heals you. And her active ability, the ultimate is she can have what they call a lifeline package. It's essentially a care package. Like a little drone comes down with like equipment and stuff in it. So that is a kind of ability. It's not quite the same as Overwatch, where an ultimate can be a real game changer. Like you would be, if you watch the pros play, they're all saving their ultimates to hit them in a certain order and stuff, and they can really turn a situation around.
Yeah.
They're less reliable at doing that.
Okay.
But they are still can be important.
Okay.
So I know I talk a lot about it over the recent weeks, and it's surprising to me as anyone, because Battle Royale is usually not my thing. But for a free game, man, it delivers. But I would say I don't understand why people spend money on it. Like they just released its first Battle Pass, and it looks like absolute shit to me. Like it's $25 or something.
I kind of get to a certain point, like with free-to-play games. If you dumped like 15, 20 hours into the game, it's like, I think they've earned a little bit of your money.
I agree with that, and that's why I don't have a problem with a microtransaction in this game. I think I said a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
If it's a free-to-play game, absolutely you get to charge for the odd loot box here and there to make your money back. I think the story was it's made almost $100 million in its first month.
Yeah, it's doing well.
It's
50 the only real success story for EA.
50 million players globally. So it's certainly. I mean, when you compare the pair, like Anthem and this one, Anthem seems to have dropped the ball on that front.
This besmirching of Anthem has to stop.
I'm just calling the way I see it.
Just because I am the
kiss of death,
for any online game, I'm still having fun with it, and I will not hear a bad word about it. I will hear many bad words about it because everyone's saying bad words about it.
I haven't played it, so I don't care. All I just know is that it's a $60 game, or more. Was it more than that? It was like 80, full price, AAA game.
Full price,
and
$80.
they're charging for microtransactions, and they promise the world, and it doesn't sound like they've delivered.
There's nothing worth buying with microtransactions.
But they're charging for them.
Yeah, but there's nothing worth buying.
Well, see, the thing with, I mean, I like...
And you can earn, like, everything in the game, you can earn through missions. And because there's not really anything else to do, you're always earning money.
Yeah.
So I've got, like, 100,000 gold that I have not done anything with because I'm like, well, don't need another emotional dance thing. I don't need that sticker on it, which I never see because I'm too busy actually fighting bad guys to pay attention to how I look. I just want my fucking legendaries and masterworks, and they don't drop fucking enough. I'm up to Grandmaster 1, and it's very telling. This is truth. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but Anthem is gonna die. I can tell because I went into some of the endgame missions, and it's one a Grandmaster level 1. You're supposed to be able to just automatically matchmake with people doing the same thing. There was no one, and I bumped out, went back in, no one, and I tried 6 or 7 times, and at different times of day, no one. Well, going into other things, like going into the strongholds, yes, you still have them, but quite quickly you're sort of like, there's only 2 other people on my team instead of 3. People are moving on from Anthem, and it's still a month and a half before the cataclysms happen, which is supposed to be the big, interesting stuff. They're not going to last, which is a shame.
Dead game walking is what it sounds like. But I wasn't meaning to diss it, other than to say that it's sort of coming from EA at the same sort of time, you've got, it just seems to be the model. I think the public's pushing back on it in the sense that, like, I don't think we're cool, and the gaming public is cool with you as a rule. You need to deliver a pretty fucking good game for us to overlook the fact that you're charging full price and then charging for microtransactions.
Yeah, I think that's definite. We've hit that tipping point where people have already been kind of salty about, why are fucking online MMOs always broken at launch? And Division 2 seems to be the only one that overall, when you add everything up, it works, it does everything, and there's a lot of content to do, and that's why it's getting a lot of success. Whereas Anthem is the polar opposite of that, where so many things didn't work, and they've been doing all these updates, and I feel like the systems have been getting worse. My load times have been getting slower, and sort of like jumps and glitches and things like that. Like, it'll tell you, you've got 5 seconds to get to the next area, and just as you get there, this boom, crystal wall comes down. You can see, but boom, nope, you can't go through, and then you have to suicide yourself, which is really fucking hard. When after you are told to move to the next area, it stops spawning bad guys there, so you can't just take power. It'll like, all right, fortunately, there's a little fire there that I can stand in and wait 5 minutes, because you can't just automatically.
So there's got to be something really good about this game for you to be putting up with this shit.
It's just overall enjoyable. I don't have to think.
Yeah. And
the only times when it pisses me off is when my team are not doing the obvious thing. It's like, they're coming to... They've just gone down. All right, I will drop down, I will put the shield down, and I will heal. And then they fuck off straight away. It's like, no... Stay, because you don't have any shield when you first respawn. So that's why the shield is there, to give you support and shield. And it'll help recharge your shield quicker. So just wait. Or, like, okay, I've managed to get myself into the point where I'm fucking down. You're just going to stand and just keep shooting rather than heal me when everyone else is fucking dead? You're just going to fuck off. Alright? Yay, team!
No, it happens in any game. Yeah. I had the same thing happen.
I'm not having any problems that I wouldn't have in any other team-based shooter.
No, I guess it's just that the fact of those, if you were sort of saying the loot sucks, the load times suck. There must be the gameplay loop of itself must be really strong.
It's just enjoyable to just roll around and, like I say, you overall don't really think about it. You just as you're cranking up the difficulty level. I'm usually not the sort of person to go beyond normal, and I've gone through normal, and it's way too easy for me now. I've gone through hard, and that's occasionally challenging when it's a big fucking titan or something, and I'm on my own. Grandmaster level 1, it's good because it's tough, and I feel like once I've gone through a stronghold or something like that, it's like, yeah, I did something worthwhile. Woohoo! And the endorphins release, and then I carry on, and then I get bored.
Well, yeah, I guess it's just you've got a higher tolerance level for like load times and that kind of thing, and it'd be kind of. I was talking to someone about this at work the other day. Like, we've had this conversation. How long do you persist with a Netflix show?
Very true.
So before, and people were like, I put out a Facebook question out, and people were like, half a season, 5, 6 episodes, maybe give the first season a go, and then don't go back for the second. I'm like, I'll give it half an hour. You know, I gave Night Flyers half an hour to impress me. It didn't do it. There's plenty of other shit to watch. So I give games a couple hours to impress me. If they don't impress me, like, there's plenty of. I look at Game Pass every week, and I'm like, barely using this thing. There's so much shit in here I could be playing.
Yeah. Stuff like Game Pass and Apple's new arcade thing that is a subscription-based gaming, that sort of thing I think is potentially going to be the future that I end up going forwards with, because overall I am very pop in, pop out of games.
But we aren't the kind of people who need to get that new AAA game on release date. We're not going to midnight openings for shit. I mean, I keep looking at, they've got We Happy Few in the Game Pass at the moment. I'm like, we played a demo of that a while back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know it didn't do well and the game reviews weren't great, but I kind of want to go in and give that another
go. I'm kind of curious. And there's always, the thing is with Game Pass, there's always fucking deals as well. So you can experience it for a little while and just cancel the subscription. When I did the EA Access, actually, I was really surprised. I cancelled it before the month was up with the first month. They refunded me the whole thing, so I got 10 hours of Anthem for free.
Sweet. But you did a job though, because you bought a copy, obviously.
Yeah, and I've dumped over 55 hours into it so far, and yeah. If nothing else happens and the game just dies, I got my money out of it.
It's worth 55 hours is a perfectly reasonable amount of gameplay to get out of something.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of time that you put into a full-featured RPG.
Yeah, hopefully you have a little bit more fun than this.
Hopefully, yeah.
In a Skyrim or whatever the Elder Scrolls game is, or maybe looking very much forward to Doom Eternal.
It does look good.
I kind of hope there's a multiplayer version of that, because
apparently there is.
I think there's one for Doom actually. I don't know if they ever picked it up though, but
there was, and it was apparently fun. I tried it once, and this was on Switch, and it was ugly. it was literally not very pretty, and the Eternal Online is not good. Since then, Panic Button, who did the port of Doom, are very, very good. They've really got their...
One thing I would like to talk about, just quickly, have you ever picked up Minecraft?
I tried. I think I've got a total of 5 hours in it, and I don't get it.
No?
Nope, don't get it.
I picked it up a few years ago, and I kind of like, this is like 8 or 9 years ago probably now, and I was like, it was remember at the time, it was hot.
Yeah.
It was the thing.
It was the fortnight before Fortnite.
And I'm like, I remember watching a review of it in Good Game and going, I don't get it. And then I think I bought it for like $10 or something back then, like when it was well before Microsoft bought it.
Yeah.
And kind of tried it out, and I'm like, yeah, I don't get it, but I can't put it down. And then I 15, 20 hours of that first class, and then we had Steve move in here into the Electric Fryburn Studios.
Yes.
And
the white wall.
He had a little server running. We would play together.
Okay.
And then we were in this world, and we built this incredible underground railroad, and was fully automated and all this shit. And it took a fucking long time to build. Let me tell you, because the walls are made of glass.
Yeah.
And doing that underwater is not easy. It was fun.
Why not? Because I want to be a Bond villain.
Pretty much, it was like half a map. It was like, because we had castles and bases on different parts of a map, and you build this rail tunnel underneath between the two, and it was electric rail all the way. So and the whole thing was automated and stuff. And then, like, the thing was, though, I can kind of get your point, is like, we finished building it, and then we wrote it twice, and we're like, cool. What do we do now? It's not, like people build these massive, elaborate bases, and I'm like, cool. There's no one to defend the base from,
I think there is actually a proper Minecraft multiplayer.
There are multiplayer things you can do now, but what I saw talk about that today was I saw a post someone put on Facebook of the updates that happened to it. Yeah, and I'm like, well, that all looks fucking cool. Like it must be.
Gotta go back in.
It must be 5 or 6 years since I did that Underground Railroad, and and I'm like and I assume obviously it could have been bullshit. I mean, it looked real though. And then surely they must have put new stuff into the game in the last 5 or 6 years. That makes sense.
Put pigs and sheep,
and there were already pigs and sheep in it.
I mean, like special. Like content drops of pigs and sheep or something. There was a weird
polar bears and stuff, shipwrecks and underwater cities now, and you're like, because like that sounds pretty cool to me, and like I don't know, there's something strange about it. The exploration part is what I find fun. Some people find the virtual Lego set part of it being fun. Just like in creative mode, being able to build crazy shit. I liked exploring and building and that kind of part of it. I'm like, it sounds like they've really beefed that up. And so I might actually. The question is, I don't really use my PC anymore, so I might have to get it on Xbox and.
Let's get it on Switch.
I don't use my Switch hasn't left its cradle in 6 months.
Well, there's a good reason to do it.
I don't have time to play Switch.
You don't have time to play something that's on the go.
Well, no, actually, I mean, like 95% of the time now, when I get on the train, I don't get a seat anymore. And
Melbourne Railway.
So, well, in fairness, they extended my rail line. There are 3 extra stations now in the last couple on this rail line that weren't there a little while ago. Yeah. All the people out in Mernda, good luck to them. They got on the train well before me now. So when I first moved here, this was the 3rd last stop on the line. I think it's like the 9th last stop on the line now. So.
You're going to be in the centre of Melbourne before you know it.
I mean, we get closer without even moving. Yeah. So I don't get to see. Trying to play Switch with one hand would be really hard.
Fair point.
When I was a cripple, and I always got a seat. It was just get it out and then. But I was talking to someone about it this evening. Like, is it good? I'm like, I don't really feel any need for it. I mean, to be my home console because it doesn't compare to the Xbox on that front. Yeah. But it is a great. I mean, I've said this before. It's a great. I really enjoy the on-the-go aspect of it. And despite the fact I don't think my Japan trip's going to get up in May this year, the next time I do go overseas. I'm very much looking forward to taking my Switch with me on the plane because it's going to pay for itself 10 times over when you got a 15 fucking hour flight somewhere.
Yep.
And I can smash.
Because you still haven't played Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda is waiting for that trip to happen.
It's so good. And
it
got hundreds of hours of game there.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like it's waiting there for that, right? Like I've kind of burned through quite a bit of Skyrim on there, but if I can pick up and hopefully I like Zelda. Because I mean it looks kind of cartoony and maybe the graphics will annoy me, but everybody says it's amazing. So imagine like getting onto a plane and being able to experience that as your first 5 or 6 hours of flight before you need to take a break, and you're getting on planes and buses and stuff other places you can play some Zelda or some Diablo, or if they bring out another decent game for it, it's not one of their little cartoony jump things, then great.
Growling. Play fucking Darkest Dungeon.
Darkest Dungeon looked at that.
Fucking awesome.
The graphics looked like something from the 80s.
Fuck with the graphics. It's gameplay, man. Gameplay. Get yourself a fucking PS4 if you want good graphics.
If they brought out a portable PS4 that could hold a charge.
It's the PlayStation Vita. Long may it rain in its death.
And they tried that, didn't they? The portable didn't work.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, surely that's what I'm thinking when next time I go overseas, I get a copy of Diablo, I get a copy of Zelda. Mm-hmm. That's gonna keep. I'll take Mario Kart and Skyrim with me as well. Mm-hmm. That's gonna keep me well sorted for a while.
It's gonna keep you going for a while, yeah.
Yeah, as you say, hundreds of hours on Zelda, and yeah. So I won't. You do need to look out the window occasionally.
Now, I had a thought as you were talking about your James Bond Underground thing for Minecraft. Why have they not made I mean, they've got like sort of like prison architects and things like that, and the escapists where you're sort of like going into and out of prisons and making those things. Why haven't they made a Bond villain base builder? And your purpose is to try and keep Bond out.
That's actually not a bad idea, probably because they don't have a James Bond. Why is there not a James Bond Battle Royale?
Why is there not a James Bond fucking game?
I can't remember the last one. Did they make one for Quantum of Solace, maybe?
Yes, they made one for Quantum of Solace, and I think the last one was technically a sequel to GoldenEye. But it was shit.
It was like didn't they release a remastered GoldenEye not so long ago?
There was one that was made, but it wasn't official. It was a fan made.
Oh, a fan made, right, yeah.
But
you wouldn't want to actually.
Fucking cool though. You can sort of like.
You wouldn't want to remake and sell the potentially arguably one of the greatest shooters of all time and one of the most.
But they'd have to completely redo it.
Well, I mean that they redid Resident Evil.
I mean they'd literally have to redo everything because it was done on
the 64.
The N64, which had one analog stick.
I'm sure it would be. You wouldn't want to make that kind of money.
But that was the last first-person shooter that I was any good at.
Okay. But yeah, there's a license that's not being well utilized at the moment.
But there you go. Whoever, I think it's Eurocom, Bond villain, base builder. And
you could make your own one if you couldn't get the Bond licensing. Just be super villain simulator.
Yeah, so there you go. The Sims, boom, done.
Fuck EA! I don't want a Sims game like that. They probably make you pay for the.
Oh, you want the sharks with fucking lasers?
Yeah, that'll be $15. Thank you.
And then you have to
$12
the battery of the laser as well.
And $12 for the unnecessarily slow dipping mechanism. Fuck them. But like they've released I believe last weekend or just a couple weeks ago, a reimagined. Remember Theme Hospital?
Oh fuck!
I used to love that game.
So good.
And like you can get ROMs for it, but it's really hard to make it work. And I'm like, who owns these things and why can't I play it on my phone? I think it was Bullfrog, if you remember them from the night.
Yeah, I think EA owns their.
Well, they probably shut them down. But,
yeah.
Someone's released the spiritual successor to that on Steam recently.
Is it any good?
I haven't seen the reviews. I just saw the trailers. It looked okay, and I had a free play weekend a couple of weeks ago. But I don't really plug the PC in for that kind of thing anymore.
Because that's not what it's for.
Well, it's not plugged in at all anymore.
It's not for anything except
gathering dust and having stuff sit on it. But I used to love that game. But
Bullfrog made some awesome games.
Pretty popular, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so I want that. And the kind of the builder style that I liked was Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest Builders, it had a story going through, and it was kind of a watered-down variation of the crafting of Minecraft. And it was just really fun. And I put like 60 hours into it.
Peter Molyneux created Bullfrog, that's why it was so good.
Yes, but he hasn't made much good recently.
No, but he had a reputation at one point in time. He was a little bit like, like a musician that had about 10 years of real high quality shit and then it goes down.
And then he said, we're going to make Spore, where you can start from a single-celled amoeba, go all the way up to building entire universes. And that's not how it
You're correct. Electronic Arts, Bullfrog's publisher, acquired the studio in January 1995. Molyneux had become an Electronic Arts vice president and consultant in 1994.
There we go.
Well, I mean,
I knew something.
I thought they were about making money.
Yeah, but they're restructuring right now, and unfortunately they have just laid off 350 more people.
Trust me, I know. One of my friends is one of them.
Really?
Here in Melbourne. He should work for whatever the local fire or something was there. The local subsidiary.
Yeah. So they've got studios all over the world, and they are.
What if they like? I don't understand. Why wouldn't you? They've got this incredible back catalogue. Why can't I play these games on my phone? Why can't I buy them anymore? You own them.
The one that everyone wants and would make fuck tons of money is remasters for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One of the Mass Effect trilogy.
I mean, I've never played those games. But people,
this crazy thing. They've got all these licenses, but one of them is the biggest license in the world of Star Wars, and they've only released two half-broken games in the last 5-6 years, and now they've cancelled 3. And apparently they've got another one coming through by the people who did Apex Legends. It's a different lot of them. Respawn.
Well, good luck with that, EA. I really hope you go broke.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a hard thing. It's like I said, my good friend worked there, and I was kind of like, I kind of hope they would go broke, but at the same time, I don't want her to lose her job. But
Well, now she's already lost the job.
Now
so...
I am free and clear to hate them all I want. But, I've got another good reason to hate them.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about? Or going to finish up a little early this episode?
I can't think of anything in particular.
All right,
other
in
than
that
to say that thank you for trying to watch us on Twitch.
Yeah, if
maybe.
we have been streaming, I hope it's not been too terrible. If it hasn't worked, then what are you doing just watching a blank screen? You'll be able to catch this, hopefully, as long as I can salvage the audio, on all of the podcast services everywhere. And thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.